What is up, guys? Welcome back. We have another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show, a mock draft for you here on our Wednesday night mock draft night. We're going to be doing 2 mocks per night, I think, going forward. The first mock draft will be the ESPN 12-team PPR mock draft. We'll just kind of stick to that one. But then we did get a request from our guy, Aiden, and no problem, man. We appreciate you. If anyone has any, suggestions for next week's sleeper mock draft, we can do that. I did post the link right here. It's at the top of the comments in the chat room. If you guys want to join it, it's a 14-team Superflex league. We'll do that after the ESPN mock draft. But in the mock draft tonight, I'm doing the 6th overall pick. I did see Tony. Good evening to Tony in there. It looks like he's in pick 7. He usually tails me. I'm starting to pick up on his shtick here. He's always one after me. So Tony in the 7th spot. I believe Aiden's at 1. That. And then I noticed Harris is at pick number 9. So we will we'll have a nice 4 guys in the chat mocking tonight. Hope everyone's having a good Wednesday evening. Aiden starts us off with Ja'Marr Chase. And yeah, man, I'm excited. Pick 6, we're starting to get to the point where we have more decisions to make. I did put CeeDee Lamb on the cover this, for the 6th mock draft of the year. I'm going to try and get CeeDee Lamb if I can. He is labeled number 6. Just letting you know, the sleeper ADP needs to be fixed post ESPN mock. So I noticed that sleeper does not. This is why another reason I just don't like sleeper. The settings are not great because I'll explain in a second here. Because if I do it if I do the 2 QB setting, it changes it to like half PPR. So it's not as customizable as I would like. So we'll share that in a second. But I do get CeeDee Lamb. And as you guys know, I recently just finished up my projections a week or so ago. And now I'm at the point where I'm just kind of going back over and making my tweaks and adjustments. And CeeDee Lamb jumped up to my wide receiver 1. I think just reflecting on the Dallas Cowboys, you're looking at a team that's clearly going to have to throw the ball again. The running backs don't really excite me. I think there's a lot of issues with the group that they have. Javonte Williams, rookie, and Jaden Blue, Miles Sanders. There's just not a lot that I think we can rely on to be a productive tandem. So we'll see what happens. I think CeeDee Lamb with the presence of George Pickens, I think it's going to be really exciting, and we should see a lot of Mr. Lamb targets. And yeah, Aiden, when I go to do the draft settings here for this is the sleeper mock. I have it set for PPR, but if I go to 2 QB, it's going to change the settings, and then I believe it boots us out of full PPR because I notice Bijan Robinson, his projections dropped to 247. And let me just go back here. Let me just go back here, draft settings. If I change it back to full PPR, you're going to see Bijan Robinson and Ja'Marr Chase. These guys are well over, almost over 300 here. So you'll have to let me know what you want me to do here. Do I set it to the 2 QB rankings, or do I put it to full PPR? Maybe your league's half PPR. That would be helpful to know. But anyways, let's recap round number 1. Ja'Marr Chase, if you have the 101, he's been the 101 every single time. Jahmyr Gibbs, that's his ceiling here, pick 102. I think I'm taking Bijan over Jahmyr, but Bijan goes 3. Justin Jefferson, Saquon Barkley, CeeDee Lamb. Those are kind of the locked-in top 6 guys. And honestly, 2 through 6, they kind of go in any order. Malik Neighbors, Ashton Jeanty. Harris grabs Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm curious what Harris thinks about the Amon-Ra knee scope stuff that happened this offseason. I'm not overly concerned about it, but I'm probably taking Puka over Amon-Ra St. Brown if it were me. CMC, who I'm coming around to, and then Derrick Henry sneaks into the back end of round 1. I'm up to pick here, round 2. You're going to give me Brian Thomas Jr. to pair with CeeDee Lamb. That feels pretty sick. I got him as a top 8 receiver in fantasy this year. I like Bucky. I also like a couple other players here at this point. But overall, I'm taking a swing here. I think Brian Thomas Jr. has, wide receiver 1 upside. So we're going to start CeeDee Lamb and Brian Thomas Jr. Harris says not changing anything. And it could be one of those things that, hey, when we get back to training camp and he's, if he's 100% ready to go, I think that would ease a lot of my concerns. But I do get worried. He's been relatively healthy for the majority of his career so far. I just worry a little bit that maybe, hey, if this thing kind of pops back up at some point in the season, I'm not going to be surprised. But I do continue to draft Lions. It's been primarily Gibbs, Jameson, and Sam Laporta, however, because I feel really comfortable with a lot of the other names in the first round right now. But on best ball, I am starting to see Amon-Ra dip into round 2 just a little bit. But round 2, we got some fun names here. A.J. Brown leads us off, Nico Collins, Jonathan Taylor. I love Devon Achane. I think you actually have him. He's my RB3. So I absolutely love Devon Achane. I think his receiving profile is outstanding. Josh Jacobs, Kieran Williams, these guys are kind of locked in to top 10 running back roles. BTJ. T. Higgins is a tough sell for me, especially over Drake London, Bucky. I kind of view T. Higgins more of like in the Ladd McConkey, like a really strong wide receiver 2 role for me. So I struggle to click on T. Higgins here at 20 overall. Give me London for sure. And then we do see our first QB off the board, Lamar Jackson. Aiden grabs Ladd McConkey and James Cook. Curious what are we thinking about James Cook in that holdout right now? There's a chance that he might miss some training camp, end of July. So we'll see. I think they're going to play hardball. So we'll see that one kind of bleed into training camp a little bit. So I'm expecting James Cook's ADP to continue to fall throughout the summer here. And I don't mind taking stabs at Ray Davis late in drafts, just in case. But Devontae Adams, Brock Bowers go. Let's take a look here and see who I'm eyeing up for round 3. With CeeDee Lamb and Brian Thomas Jr., I think I would love to get a running back on the team. I'm not super excited about Joe Mixon. You could sell me on Chase Brown here. But Breece Hall definitely sticks out. Omarion Hampton just seems to keep climbing rankings. I think in best ball, he's at the end of round 4. I'd have to take him here at the 3-4 turn to get him, basically, which doesn't excite me as much. So we survived some bullets here. They're going to give me Trey McBride. His ranking's 26. I'm at pick 30. I think I'm taking Trey McBride here. I did not get Marvin Harrison's still on the board, but I think getting a chance at the tight end 1 on the year, he ran kind of not so great on touchdowns last year. I see those coming back up. So McBride's one of those guys that's very easy for me to click on. Pick 30. I'll take a chance at the tight end 1 here. Cook will be fine. Too important to the team to not get it done. It's a team without a real receiver. And yeah, I think the big thing for me is I'm not sure where James Cook's going to be in terms of his touchdown totals, but I have all of his numbers basically duplicating within, rushing attempts, yards. I was kind of surprised that he didn't get as much receiving work last year. I think that's a part that he could actually tap into a little bit more. But for now, I think James Cook, when you can get him as your RB2, that's where I feel really good about James Cook. Aiden grabs him as his RB1 behind Chase and McConkey, which still feels good, but if you guys have watched my stuff, I really like positional value. And to me, James Cook looks really nice as a running back too. After I take Trey McBride, we see Tony go with Josh Allen. Curious we haven't really talked a lot about Chase Brown. I'm curious what you guys all feel about Chase Brown, because in a full PPR league, man, he was money. When he finally got the job and started getting the carries and all the catches, he seemed to be a guy that was a top 10 running back rest of season. He had some big spike games in the 20s, actually a lot of games in the 20-point range. So he has a high floor, a nice ceiling. He does happen to fall into the end zone in the rushing column, and then the fact that he can make moves as a receiver. I think Chase Brown, they didn't really add a lot of competition. I can't remember the running back they added, but it was either UDFA or real late in the NFL draft. So sure, if they get Zach Moss back, they added Samaje Perine, he might lose a little bit of some third down work, but I think Chase Brown is pretty locked into a nice role. But I really like Harris's snag here of Breece Hall. I want as much Breece Hall as possible. Not a great year last year, RB16, but that's kind of his floor. I think the Jets offense could be better and score more fantasy points in 2025 with Justin Fields running the ball and hopefully picking up more first downs and maybe being a little bit more efficient. But we'll find out. I think Breece Hall's a great click round 3. Not so into Joe Mixon, but I like JSN. And then, at this point, I can't knock any quarterbacks being taken off the board. Interesting. We got a David Montgomery pull here, round 4. And I still like David Montgomery. He didn't finish the season healthy. But, when you're starting David Montgomery, you're getting, 15 touches. And I think last year he actually showed that, hey, he can still catch the ball and be very productive as a receiver. He ended up with 36 catches last year and, 4, 5, 3, 3, 3. Like he was really adding to his PPR value last year. So round 4 might be a little rich, but to each his own. We're on the board here. We just missed out on McLaurin, Harrison, and Tyreek, a little receiver run there. Let's take a look. K. Walker, Omarion Hampton. I don't have a running back yet, so I'm starting to look at I think we got to pump up Mr. Hampton here. I think he's going to be catching a lot of passes in this Chargers offense, man. And I do think that he's just better than Najee Harris at this point, a first-round running back. We want those players on our teams. You're telling me I can get him round 4. I actually have him ranked as a top 12 running back in my projections, which I know projections don't equal rankings, but I'm very bullish on Omarion Hampton and an offense that very clearly wants to run the football. I think there's going to be enough room for Hampton to eat and then Najee Harris to get his nibbles every now and then. So sign me up, full PPR, Omarion Hampton, sign me up. And we'll go to the pick overview here. Alvin Kamara is a pretty good pick. A lot of people don't realize he was a top 10 running back last year, and he missed the last 3 games of the season. I think if you look at his fantasy points per game, he's probably a top 5 running back. And started the year off hot. New Orleans offense was super hot with Derek Carr those first couple of games. But you can see, man, just the volume of him, 4, 5, 4, there's catching passes, a ton of passes. You're going to bring a rookie quarterback in. I think there's going to be a lot of dinking and dunking going on with Tyler Shuck. And also just the game script potential for the Saints. It's going to be a lot of games where they're not winning in the second half, and they're going to have to throw the ball. So I think Alvin Kamara is a pretty good click at this point in the 4th round. Otherwise, Kenneth Walker. I still like Kenneth Walker. Mike Evans. Every time we'd seem to doubt him, he just comes back with another big year. DJ Moore and Joe Burrow stacked. Aiden gets the Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow stack, and he comes back with Zay Flowers. So Aiden's off to a good start. Round 5, DK Metcalf, James Conner, RJ Harvey, and Chuba Hubbard. We are on the board here. I have my pull at Worthy, Judkins, Sutton, Laporta, Devonta Smith, DeAndre Swift, George Pickens. This is going to be my flex player, or I could grab a running back 2 here. I don't know if any running back 2 is exactly sticking out for me. I'm going to go ahead and just grab Devonta Smith, who I think is a combination of the best player on the board for my team and just also the best talent on the board. I think, I'm excited about Xavier Worthy. Rashee Rice is back, though. You still have Travis Kelce there. I think those guys are going to kind of rotate who's going to be the number 1 receiver each week. So I like Worthy. I do view him as a flex, but I'm ranking Devonta Smith a little bit higher than Xavier Worthy. Let me actually see where I did put Devonta Smith. I might be low on Devonta Smith. I got him at wide receiver 24. So, again, getting him as my wide receiver 3 does feel like a good value for us. And, hey, if anything happens to A.J. Brown, I think Devonta Smith is going to be a 10-man target per game kind of guy. So, Devonta Smith, sign me up. Aaron Jones, good pick here by Tony. I'm coming around to Aaron Jones just because, we seem to write off these running backs based on age, but Jones produced last year, man, and he's going to continue to be leaned on, especially in the passing game with technically a rookie quarterback in J.J. McCarthy. He's still going to lead the team in carries. I think Aaron Jones is a good pick and kind of like a James Conner type. We expect these guys to play most of the games. They're going to miss a game or 2, maybe 3 or 4, but when they're healthy, you're going to feel good about them in your lineup. They're proven players. Harris grabs George Pickens here in round 5. I'm very excited about Dallas, man. I think Dallas has been a very pass-happy team for the last, 3-4 years. And again, they just continue to avoid running back capital. Dak's going to have to throw the ball a ton, and I think George Pickens complements CeeDee Lamb so well that, when teams are focusing on stopping George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb's going to eat and kind of vice versa. So it looks like a good spot, and Pickens in your flex feels pretty good. Jalen Waddle's another guy that I like to click here. I'm struggling on Quinshon Judkins. I do think he could be a David Montgomery type where, hey, he's going to get his 15 to 18 touches. He'll get a catch or 2 per game. And if they get near the red zone, they're going to run the ball with Judkins. So I think he's like kind of like a lunch pail guy, a meat and potatoes player that's honestly kind of like a poor man's Nick Chubb. I don't know if he's quite Nick Chubb level talent, but we could be looking at back and say, hey, Quinshon Judkins, man, he had a ton of touches his rookie year, and he was just a good pick no matter where you took him. So I'm starting to come around to Quinshon Judkins maybe as my RB2-3. And then Travis Kelce here, end of round 5. We're entering the 6th round. We talked about Calvin Ridley last night on the Best Ball stream. I'm coming around to Calvin Ridley being a guy that could put up a nice season as your wide receiver 3. He's going to be really the only target in town for Tennessee, and I expect him to be a consistent lineup for you. Tony Pollard, Sam Laporta. Harris does grab Travis Hunter, and Patrick Mahomes, Jameson Williams off the board. Xavier Worthy's falling here, which is a bit of a surprise. I do like him. I also love Rome Odunze. There are some running backs that I like here on the board, but I think the ability to just grab either Odunze or Xavier Worthy is probably what I'm going to do here. So I'll go ahead and grab – I almost took Xavier Worthy last time, so the fact that he's still there, I will collect best player available here and just put Worthy on the bench. Mr. Magic, good evening to you. We're asking CMC, Achane, Henry, Jeanty in what order full PPR redraft. I think for me, it's Jeanty as the clear guy that I want above the others. You know, just the talent, the first round pick, especially a top 10 pick. Like, we know he's set up for a huge workload. He's young. And I do think the Raiders are going to surprise some people and be a decent offense this year. So I think I'm ranking Jeanty as he combines like the highest floor, ceiling, and safety all into one. So I think he's kind of the guy there for me. I will probably put CMC number 2 because I do expect him to bounce back and be healthy and be a big reason why the 49ers are winning more games than people expect this year. So we're going to go Jeanty, CMC. I'll put Achane number 3, but CMC and Achane are kind of interchangeable. Like, I'm not going to be mad if you take Achane over CMC. I think both guys are freaks. Achane's going to catch a lot of passes this year. I think those guys are interchangeable. And then I'm going to rank Henry 3rd just because of the lack of PPR upside. Relying on Henry to get another 1,600 yards and 15, 16 touchdowns, I think I'm going to continue to bet against that. So Jeanty, CMC, Achane, Henry is how I would rank them. And thank you, Mr. Magic, for your question. But hey, we're on the board here. Caleb Johnson's on the board. I have not clicked on him a lot because you guys know I like Jaylen Warren, Matthew Golden, Jordan Addison, Javonte Williams, Cooper Kupp. I'm just gonna click on Rhamondre Stevenson to fill my RB2 spot. I think he leads the Patriots backfield in touches and is probably their goal line short yardage back. I know a lot of people are excited about Travion Henderson, but I kind of view him as a 1B change of pace, receiving, kind of role. So I'll continue to collect Rhamondre Stevenson. And because I waited for my RB2, I'm probably going to continue to add guys that I think can compete for my RB2 spot. I'm okay with trying to figure that position out as the year goes on because I know I like my receivers. And hey, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I'm curious, what do you guys think about Caleb Johnson, who's at the top of the queue right now? I have not been able to click on him a lot. I'm a little concerned. I still think Jaylen Warren's really good, guys. And it's not going to surprise me if Jaylen Warren – I know Jaylen Warren's going to lead the team in running back receptions. I also think he's going to potentially lead the team in carries. If Caleb does win short yardage and goal line duties, that's fine. I think there's room for both guys to be valuable. But I know that Caleb Johnson, if he doesn't score a touchdown, I don't think he's going to be a high floor kind of guy. So, 10 to 15 carries per game. If he doesn't get that touchdown, he's kind of stuck in the 60, 70-yard range. And Harris goes Achane, Henry, McCaffrey, and Ashton Jeanty. So he's not buying the rookie Jeanty. And honestly, I think all guys are kind of interchangeable. I'm going to continue to fade Derrick Henry at cost just because, we're bound for one of these years, man, for him to slow down. Not trusting Arthur Smith. I totally agree. I do think just having Aaron Rodgers there, Aaron Rodgers has always been kind of good dumping the ball off to his running backs, and especially his tight ends. Like when I was looking at my Steelers numbers again this morning, we got to give Pat Freiermuth a little bit of respect. He snuck into the top 12 tight ends last year in fantasy, and I only see his numbers growing in 2025. So Pat Freiermuth, not a clear number 2 target on that Steelers team. It's Pat Freiermuth. So Aiden does not like Caleb. He ghosted versus good teams in the Big Ten. And then Tony does like Caleb. I want to like Caleb, but I'm concerned that he's just not going to have any PPR value. To me, I don't know if there's a big difference between Caleb Johnson and Tank Bigsby. I think those are the same type of players, the same profile. Give me Tank Bigsby 5 rounds later compared to Caleb Johnson. But we're on the board here. I'm able to get Javonte Williams on Dallas, which I do feel very good about him. I have Jalen Warren, Khalil Shakir. I'm just going to do – Harris is going to grab his Brian Robinson, who we'll talk about in a sec. But I'm going to continue to click on Jalen Warren. Just give him to me as my RB3 every time, and we'll see what happens. I think in a full PPR setting, he'll hit me 10, 12 points. But I do want to quickly touch on Brian Robinson because he came up last week. Harris was pumping him up, and we kind of shot him down. But I just dived into the numbers again. Look at the first 5-6 games that Brian Robinson came out. He was hot, man. 3 catches, 1, 3. So he's used as a receiver, but this volume, 12, 17, 16, 21 games with touchdowns. You know, if the Commanders' offense is rolling and they're running into the red zone frequently, you're going to see Brian Robinson get into the touchdown range. He missed a couple games, started missing games because he was not healthy. And then he really just couldn't finish the season strong. So I think he kind of wore down as the season went on. If there's a chance where he's able to put together a whole healthy season, you're looking at a guy that's got a really strong chance at a touchdown every week. I mean, he could be a poor man's David Montgomery. So I'm starting to get on board with Brian Robinson here. I think there could be some chance that not a top 10, top 12 guy, but I think he's a solid running back too for our fantasy teams this year. I have almost all of them back-to-back except Josh Jacobs. So Josh Jacobs, interesting. Okay, so very high on Josh Jacobs, and he meant to take Brian Robinson there. Well, you're going to give me Brian Robinson here. I do like some of the wide receivers here, but again, I feel very strong about the ones I've taken. But I'm gonna finally do it, Harris. I'm gonna take Brian Robinson Jr. He's my RB4. That feels fantastic, and I just got done saying I think he can be your RB2 for fantasy. So I'm 4 deep at receiver and running back. We have a tight end 1. I feel pretty good about the core of this team. And there's a trend going on. I'm starting to wait on quarterback in almost every mock draft I do. And you see Aiden here. He does grab Tank Bigsby. I think this is to me, this looks like the exact numbers you're going to see out of Caleb Johnson, where he gets a catch every now and then. You're going to get double-digit carries. He's going to get a touchdown almost every other week. This, to me, looks like a Caleb Johnson profile. There's a chance where, yeah, he's going to rip off these big games where they're just crushing a team and they can lean on the run. But I think for the most part, the receiving workload, I don't see it there for Caleb Johnson to be a great pick at ADP right now. But the 9th round's interesting. You got Tank Bigsby, Javonte Williams, Kyler Murray, Colston Loveland, Chris Godwin, B-Rob, Travis Etienne, who I still think has some PPR value in a half PPR or a standard league. I'm probably not clicking on Etienne. Jared Goff, a good quarterback value this late. I think Tajay Spears is interesting as well. We saw him look really good down the stretch last year. These final 3 games where he was getting the volume and the receiving workload here, he still looks like a player that we haven't seen the best of him yet for a full season. I'm completely out on Keon Coleman. You guys won't find me picking him anytime soon. But Zach Charbonnet, man, that's a really good bench stash. And now we're getting to the point where defenses are coming off the board. You're telling me you can get the Packers' #1 receiver in round 10? That feels like a great value here. And I know he was his usage kind of got weird after the bye, but I still think Jaden Reed is a guy you want on your team this year, especially with the value. Yeah, and Bucky just completely Wally pipped him, man. He went and just took the whole share of the workload. Rachaad White never was a good running back. I think he's always been a good receiving back, but it was very clear that Bucky needed more touches on the ground. And to me, Rachaad White's kind of in that Travis Etienne tier, you know, a competent 1B receiving back who can take on the load if the one goes down. But the team wants to run with Bucky. The team wants to run with Tank Bigsby and throw to these other running backs. We're on the board here. Some quarterbacks available. They're just disrespecting Drake May, Dak Prescott here. So I'm going to continue to wait, man. I have no issues waiting on QB. Let me just look at the wide receivers real quick. Pittman, Ibuka. Take a peek at the running backs real quick. Jaden Blue. I'm just going to take a chance on Jordan Mason. We were talking about how much we like Aaron Jones before, but I think Jordan Mason's one of those guys that will have a base role in the offense, whether it's 5 to 7 carries per game. And if anything happens to Aaron Jones, I know I'm getting a good running back that I can start. So I think I'm done at running back. We got Hampton, Stevenson, Warren, B-Rob, and Jordan Mason. I feel very strongly about that group. I'll kind of rotate it at RB2 and figure it out and play the matchups, but I feel like I've collected enough talent at the running back spot. Mr. Magic says you're on the clock, and BTJ, London, Nico, Amon-Ra are on the board. Who are you picking? We'll answer this in a second here. Look at all the running backs available at the top of the board here. I'm open to Rashid Shaheed on my bench. I think he's an exciting click at this point. Najee. I'm going to keep taking running back. So I just took Najee Harris as my RB6. He is the true handcuff to Omarion Hampton, but I do think he's got a base role. He might get touchdown duties. And if anything happens to Hampton, we have Najee Harris, who will be just a volume play, RB1, RB2, whatever. But let's take a peek here at this question. And to Aiden's question there, Loveland went round 9, pick 4 here. So he got reached on just a little bit. But this receiver question is very, very interesting to me. These are how my projections shook out. I actually have Drake London ahead of Brian Thomas, ahead of Malik Neighbors, ahead of Amon-Ra. And I have Nico just a little bit lower on the column. So my ranking, I might rank them differently. I think Drake London's locked into it the most targets. So I'm going to say London, Thomas, and then I'm probably going to take Amon-Ra third, and then we'll go Nico. So that's how I would rank those guys. All guys that I want on my teams for sure. But something about BTJ and London excite me. I think Brian Thomas will be fine. And keep in mind, man, like he didn't even play a full year with Trevor Lawrence, and he still got better every single freaking week. So I think there's still another gear for Brian Thomas, and we might just see him score 23 fantasy points per game, something like that. But I think as far as consistency, London's going to be the guy that you're going to feel really good about. He already put up a top 5 season last year. I think BTJ was close. He might have been 6 or 7, but I'm going to give the edge to London just a little bit. When you would take Nico, okay, I'm into Nico as well, but it's very rare for what Brian Thomas Jr. did, and when you factor in how bad the Jags offense was, the fact that Trevor Lawrence missed half the year. Again, I think there's another gear here that we haven't seen with BTJ, and let me just kind of pull up the numbers real quick. I mean, he was doing a lot of this with Mac Jones, and there were games here. Even that's kind of when Mac Jones took over here in the middle of the year. But from the bye week on, like 18, 16, 32, 28, 23, 17, all these double-digit target games. I know Travis Hunter's there, but I'm going to guarantee Brian Thomas Jr. is going to lead this team in targets and maybe even go over 150, 160 targets this year. And yeah, I think that's the best, one of the best things that I haven't talked about yet is Liam Cohen is kind of there to unlock everything. And Liam Cohen's just been traveling around the United States, unlocking offenses. Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith. He's been a very good head coach and offensive coordinator and a guy that makes things better. So I think there's a legit chance that we could see big numbers from the Jags offense this year. But I'm on the clock here. I guess I'm on deck. I still don't have a quarterback. And y'all going to give me – someone took my Dak Prescott, which was not nice. Chris here, round 11, pick 12. But I will take one of these guys here. I just want to look at the receivers real quick because I only have 4 of them. We're fine. We're fine. We're going to go ahead and just I'm going to take 2 QBs here. I'm going to grab my Drake May, who came out pretty high in my numbers. Drake May, let's see, QB 14. Did Trevor Lawrence go yet? Because, like, I know Mr. Magic is not super into the Jags, but my numbers came out, and dude, I don't do this intentionally, but Trevor Lawrence came out to my QB 8. He's got legs. He can run the ball, and I see this team putting up a lot of fantasy numbers this year. Yes. So we're sour on Cohen. He did kind of do Tampa dirty. He did not leave. He did not exit the best way. I'll give you that. But I still think Jacksonville is a team that is taking. You talk about certainties. I think it's a near lock that the Jags take a step forward this year. Maybe they only win 6 or 7 games, but they're going to be a team that definitely takes a step forward in pretty much every metric on offense. So that's kind of where I'm at. And I don't mind waiting to take Drake May, and I can still grab Trevor Lawrence here because nobody wants him unless you're Aiden. Aiden, don't steal my Trevor Lawrence here. You already have Joe Burrow, so you don't even need a QB2, my man. So just chill, Aiden. Let me grab my guy. I got 2 more bench spots to fill here. I do need some wide receivers, and I'm going to grab a guy that I think is pretty underrated and I feel good about. It's Rashad Bateman. I think he's a guy that I just want on my bench. Not saying I'm going to start him every week, but hey, we saw him catch a lot of touchdowns last year. They finally paid him, and it looks like he is a guy that's ascending. He's kind of a sleeper for me, so I like him. Put him on the end of my bench, and we'll see what happens. And then we'll grab one more quarterback here to end my mock draft, basically. I don't think I'm too worried about that. I think Liam Cohen's really pulling a lot of the strings. If you think about it, Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan, those are 2 coaches that come to mind. They really don't have offensive coordinators. They're going to run their offense. They're going to call the plays, and they basically just have a guy there that is labeled offensive coordinator. So maybe that's just a spot where Cohen just wanted to give this guy some experience, and he likes bouncing ideas off this 28-year-old mind. So I'm not too worried about it. But this is the Jacksonville Jaguars show, apparently. I still love Tampa Bay, though. Tampa Bay's offense does excite me. I think Godwin and Evans are going to be healthier and better than people think. And yeah, that is a good thing to note there. Etienne's in a contract here. He could be a guy. He could also be a guy that they trade mid-season, If they like how Tootin and Bigsby are looking, like they could look to move Etienne to a team that wants to unleash him a little bit. And Harris, you did not have a permit to take Trevor Lawrence in round 14. You did not. Okay, is your QB1? I will allow it, but damn it, Harris. Fine, I'll take Jordan Love, who to me I still have him as a top 12 QB. So I'll roll into the season with Jordan Love and Drake May, and we'll see what happens. But I did really, really want Trevor Lawrence, who is probably my most drafted quarterback in best ball leagues right now, where you're spending money and actually putting your money where your mouth is on these guys. So I love the Jags. I love the Jags. I'm not really clicking on Travis Etienne a lot this year, guys. I think for me, when I look at Jacksonville and I'm like, how is this offense going to work and what can I bank on? Like, what can I rely on every week? Everything's around Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter, Brenton Strange. The running backs are going to ping pong and take, they're going to have their moments where they each have a week or so. But I think coming back to it, I want Trevor Lawrence. His team's not going to win a ton of games. So I think just going back to what is the identity of this team, it's going to be Trevor Lawrence throwing the ball to BTJ and company. But we're on the board here. I'm going to grab my kicker first before my defense because I really don't care about kicker and defense. Did I grab everything that I wanted to grab? Yeah, we got a full roster here. So we'll walk it off with a defense. And then, again, reminder, if you're just joining us, we do have a sleeper mock draft going here. It's a 14-team sleeper mock draft. The link is at the top of the queue. If you guys want to join it, please do. And then, Aiden, did you need me to switch the settings? Do you want the full PPR settings or the 2 QB settings? Because either way, it's not going to be a perfect draft. Unfortunately, Sleeper doesn't allow you to do PPR and 2 QB for some reason. Make it 2 QB. Okay. And yeah, I guess that is the more important thing, is to make sure teams are drafting quarterbacks appropriately. So that is ready to go. And again, if you guys want to join it, the link's at the top of the queue. We'll walk it off with the defense here and move into the sleeper draft shortly. Overall, I did like picking 6th overall. I thought I had a good, balanced approach here. We hammered receivers early. I got a good plethora of running backs to fill in my depth chart here. We got Trey McBride. I'm playing it a little bit riskier at QB. I think Drake May and Jordan Love, one of those guys, will surprise. And I'm going to go Packers defense. I think the 49ers is another team that I would have taken there. But overall, I think this is a pretty solid draft. Our bench looks pretty solid. Could use maybe one more receiver here. We went with 6 running backs, 5 receivers. But overall, I think we came out okay. So I'm not going to review teams in this one. We're just going to hop right over to sleeper here, guys. It looks like Tony's in here at pick 2, Aiden at pick 3. I'm at pick 7. I'll give you guys a few more seconds to get into here and go ahead and do this. But I think next week we can maybe do – trying to think. We should maybe just do like a half PPR 12 team, just like a regular half PPR 12 team draft. Something that I think a lot of people could probably use and relate to. But we got a few guys here. We're going to hop right into it and continue rolling on with this mock-a-thon tonight. We're going to hit start draft. If you missed it, you missed it, but next week. So here you go. Superflex, 14 team, 15 rounds. And I'm one of those guys that I don't think you always need to take a quarterback round 1, but you're going to give me Joe Burrow here. You're going to give me Jalen Hurts here. I'll take Joe Burrow, and we'll see what comes back around here. Aiden does start with Jamar Chase, so we'll see what he does at QB. I'm going to try, and let's try and maximize this here. So I'm not going to be able to see the chats rolling in, but, oh, Harris did sneak in there. Pick 14 for Harris. We have a wild Brock Bowers. Team 13, interesting. Harris goes Saquon, and we'll see if he grabs Mahomes. He's not going to like his QBs coming back. He goes Kyler Murray, interesting, over Mahomes. I like the pick. I missed on Mahomes. That would have been the slam dunk for me here if he was here. But I'm getting Nico, McCaffrey, Achane, Drake London, McConkey. I'm going to take my receiver here, Drake London. I feel very good about Drake London this year. I'm going to get my top 5 receiver, and we'll see what comes back. Aiden's on the board here. Quarterback, Justin Herbert, top QB, Baker Mayfield, Caleb Williams. We'll see what happens. Oh, he goes Bucky Irving, so no quarterback. Through 2. And Tony grabs CMC there. And the quarterbacks don't look so great right now. I do like this tier coming up, though, like May, Stroud, Purdy, Goff, Love, Dak. I love waiting for one of these guys as my QB2, so I totally get it. McConkey, Herbert, Jacobs off the board. I'm on the board again here. Breece Hall, Hampton, Kieran, all on the board for me. James Cook's down there. I don't think I'm going to take Baker Mayfield, but I am interested. I'm going to wait and see what quarterback kind of comes back around for me. I'm going to go JSN. I think he's an ascending talent. I think Sam Darnold will pummel the hell out of him with targets. So wide receiver 2, JSN. I did have a good ranking on him in my projections. And Harris on the board here. Saquon, Kyler Murray, and Terry McLaurin. I am interested to see how this Terry McLaurin holdout ends, too. I think he's going to probably sign pretty soon. They got to lock him up and give him a deal to kind of – it's basically his last chance at a deal. And Team 13 still does not have a quarterback or Team 10, so those are interesting. But I'm on the board here. Stroud, Purdy, Goff. James Cook is falling. I think I'm just going to collect the value here and grab my running back 1, James Cook. Which, again, I did say he looks better as a running back too, but I think if he's falling, I'll take a chance on James Cook. I would have loved it if Hampton fell, but I'll take James Cook round 4. And I was sandwiched between Stroud and Williams, so that's fine. We'll get a quarterback too soon. Aiden takes Zay Flowers, back-to-back drafts. Mike Evans off the board. There goes Jared Goff. This looks like a round here where I think you want your quarterback 2 pull. I'm guessing Aiden grabs Trevor Lawrence here. Goes J-Love. Okay, cool. You're going to give me Dak or Trevor Lawrence? It's kind of a toss-up. I'm going to go Dak just because I think Dallas would be a little bit better of an offense. I think CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Jake Ferguson. I feel a little bit safer there. Harris just misses J.J. McCarthy and Trevor Lawrence. So I feel pretty good about my start so far. Pretty well balanced. Dak and Burrow, they both have the same bye, which is not what I should have looked at. But either way, Cook, London, JSN, I like my team from the base building perspective. Fields, Penix, Cam Ward, I might grab one of these QB3s and see how it works out. Apparently, they just can't be by week 10. What do you guys think about Chris Olave? I'm coming around to Olave. I think he's going to be a productive player this year. I'm going to just tack on Michael Penix here as my QB3. I got Drake London there. Penix QB3, and I'm done at QB. The first team with 3 QBs, it looks like. Yeah. And then we're just going to add talent the rest of the way. We'll fill it out. Jerry Jeudy. Still no QB2 for Tony. We'll see if he takes Justin Fields here. I like his receivers, Harrison, Evans, Adams, and Sutton. Obviously, we'll like CMC. But that's a good receiver core there. We do have 2 flex spots to fill. I should have mentioned that at the top. So making sure you have, I mean, he's got his starting lineup almost set here with the 4 receivers, which looks pretty good. There's a few guys I like still, whether it's J-Mo, Addison, Waddle, I think Calvin Ridley. Like, there's still some potential wide receiver 2s, and he grabs Cam Ward, which you can't complain with Cam Ward. We know he's going to be starting pretty much every game this year. I did not expect Justin Fields to make it back around, but I'm going to go ahead and grab Isaiah Pacheco as my running back 2. I didn't get a Chief. I want a Chief, and I think Pacheco is going to be healthy and be the lead back this year for the Chiefs. We got Harris on the board here. He's got his 2 QBs, Murray and Bubba Young. He gets his Brian Robinson share for the evening. Do you guys like to grab 3 QBs and be comfortable at quarterback, or you guys just grab 2 and figure QB3 out, during the season? Because we always know there's going to be injuries and things like that. Just curious if you guys are QB2 or QB3 players in Superflex leagues, because you're going to get some value here on Darnold and Geno Smith for sure. But I'm on the board here. I need more wide receivers. I do like Ricky Pearsall. I'm going to look at the running backs, Scatabo, Warren. You're going to give me Jalen Warren here. I'll take a stab at Ricky Pearsall. I think he's locked in, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 for them. We'll figure that out. I do like Ayuk, but Ayuk's probably not going to be at 100% right away. I think Ricky Pearsall has some hidden upside in that offense. And then Cooper Kupp's still down here too, man. I think he's got some juice. I already have JSN, so I'm probably not going to do that. We'll go ahead and just continue to take Jalen Warren every time you guys give me Jalen Warren, because why not? I just love my 10 points, man. My 10 points per game. It is a little different with half PPR. Like I have to remember this is half PPR, so I should probably load up on some touchdown running backs to finish this draft. But I do like the Cooper Kupp pull here by Harris. I think Kupp's in for a nice season. We always kind of discount these veteran receivers. I also kind of like Stephon Diggs. I didn't think Stephon Diggs got drafted yet, but I do think Diggs could be a guy that catches 7, 8, 9 touchdowns this year. And hey, Michael Pittman, man, if Daniel Jones is the starting quarterback all year, we're too low on Colts receivers, man. I'm going to keep going to the well here on running back. It's half PPR, so I'll take Rhamondre Stevenson as my RB4. And I feel pretty good about running backs. Cook, Pacheco, Warren, and Rhamondre. I do not have a tight end yet. I do want one soon. Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers at this point seem like pretty good clicks. I would rather have Rodgers, obviously, than Russell Wilson. But I do think Tyler Shuck down here is a pretty good pick as well. I do need some more wide receivers, though. We're looking a little light at wide receiver. I only got 3. London, JSN, Ricky Pearsall so far. Trey Benson for Tony. Looks like Tony's on auto. That's okay. Thanks for hanging out, Tony. If you're missing us, have a good rest of your evening. And Aiden's just grabbing Jags backs now. I'm going to take Zach Ertz as my tight end 1. Zach Ertz was really good last year. I think he continues where he left off. And I feel pretty good about Ertz as my top 10 tight end. I was kind of shocked at how high Zach Ertz came out in my tight end rankings this year. And if you guys are new to the fellowship, all of my projections, rankings, and things are on the fantasyfellowship.com. You guys can check that out. There's a link in the bio of this video. You guys can get a promo code for the next couple months here. But Zach Ertz is my tight end 7. So I think he's a pretty good value at this point of the draft. And we're back on the board here. Christian Kirk excites me a little bit. I think he can be the number 2 over there. I do need more receivers, but J.K. Dobbins, a little bit of interest here. I'll take a chance on Christian Kirk. I think he's got at least 1 or 2 more years of serviceable wide receiver 3 flex numbers. I think he catches more passes than we expect. I know he's got a battle with a rookie here, but I think a healthy Christian Kirk, number 2 receiver in that offense, we'll take a chance. There's one more receiver that I like quite a bit more than the other receivers available. There's actually a lot of receivers that I still like here, so I might have to look at running. I do feel good about my 4 running backs. We got 3 picks left here. Cook, Pacheco, Warren, and Rhamondre. Tony's back. Garendo and Jalen Wright, Quentin Johnson there to Aiden. I'm on the board. Nobody wants to touch Russ the Bus Wilson. I might just grab my tight end 2 here. Give me the Icky Gesicki with my Joe Burrow stack, man. And we'll ride out at tight end with Zach Ertz and Mike Gesicki. We're fine. And Harris grabs Eckler to pair with his B-Rob, and he tapped in a little Rico Dowdle there. I like Rico Dowdle quite a bit. I mean, at this point, Wilson and Shuck are pretty good deals. I think Daniel Jones is a pretty good value. Harris grabs Shadur Sanders. You see that little guy got caught speeding? I think he got arrested today, over 100 miles per hour. But I'm going to grab one of my favorite wide receiver sleepers, and that's Josh Palmer for Buffalo. I think he's going to catch a lot of passes. I don't know, somewhere in the 60 catches, range this season. He's a guy that I could throw out and get a touchdown almost any given week. I think after Shakir really only stays out in 3 wide receiver sets, I think Palmer's going to be out there on the field at all times. And he might actually lead the team in snaps he could lead the team in targets, but I think Shakir's got the targets and the receptions down. But Palmer's a good player. I missed on Demario Douglas, damn it. That's one of the guys that I really wanted on my bench. But last round here, we'll see what the boys do. Adonai Mitchell, a good sleeper pick here from Tony. I'm not sure what I want to do. Troy Franklin for Aiden. I'm looking at some guys. These receivers look pretty dusty. Yucks. All right, we're gonna. This is a favorite of the show. Deontay Johnson. What can you do for us? We'll give you a couple weeks. If not, I'll cut you very quickly. Deontay Johnson, Joe Flacco's slot receiver. All right, and he grabs Rusty Wilson down there. So fun draft, guys. We'll just take a look here at Tony's team real quick. I wish I could. There we go. So Tony's rocking a Jaden Daniels, Cam Ward, 2 QB, Superflex team. Running backs are CMC, Trey Benson, Garendo, Jalen Wright, and Marshawn Lloyd. So I thought I saw him miss a couple picks and go an auto pick here, so I'm not sure if this is exactly what he was going for. But we need a running back, too, on this team. clearly the receivers are pretty good. Harrison, Evans, Adams, Sutton. You got some depth here with Myers, Mooney, and Adonai. We just need a running back too. Aiden from the 3 hole, he grabs Jamar Chase, continues to pass on QB, gets Bucky Irving, he lands Drake May as his QB1, continues to take Zay Flowers, and then Jordan Love. So you get May and Love, who I think are both top 10, top 12 quarterbacks this season. Jerry Jeudy, DeAndre Swift, Jaden Reed. And then we got some interesting bench running backs here. Scatabo, Bigsby, Tootin, Brenton Strange, tight end 1. We all love Brenton Strange. And then some sleeper picks here at receiver, QJ, Ayo Maynor, and Troy Franklin, who I think I'm probably not in on Troy Franklin, but every other pick I'm cool with. Good draft there from Aiden. Harris from the 14 hole, which might be one of the hardest spots to pick in this entire draft. Barkley and Murray, round 2. McLaurin and Tyreek Hill. Aaron Jones, RB2. But Bryce Young, QB2. And then Brian Robinson is his RB3. So he's got his running backs kind of set nicely. He also has Eckler and Dowdle down here to fill out his top 5. Receivers are McLaurin, Hill, Cup. I feel very good about those 3. And then if he gets anything out of Trey Harris or Jalen Royals, we'll see about them as their number 4, number 5 guys. You got Evan Ingram at the tight end, which I feel pretty good about. And then a couple sleepers down here at quarterback. And then my team, we ended up with Joseph Burrow, Dak Prescott, and Michael Penix. I probably have the best 3 quarterback rotation. And it's Superflex. I want to make sure I have my bases covered at quarterback. My receivers, Drake London, Jackson Smith, and the Jigba. I feel great about those as my dudes. And then at the flex, man, like Ricky Pearsall, Christian Kirk, Josh Palmer, Deontay Johnson, those guys will figure it out. But my running backs are kind of the strength, I think, in the middle here. James Cook, Pacheco, Warren, Stevenson. I'm starting 2 of those guys every week, if not 3 or 4 of them in the flex. So there you have it, the 14-team Superflex mock draft. And hey, man, no problem, Aiden. We can probably do another one of these in a couple weeks here. I think next week we'll rotate and we'll maybe do a more traditional, maybe a half PPR 10-team league or something like that. We'll kind of focus on something different. And then, yeah, Tony did have 2 auto picks in there. But I want to thank you all for hanging out with me this evening. This has been a pleasure. And again, we'll be back next Wednesday. I am out of town this weekend, so I don't think I have anything coming out anytime soon. Maybe next week we'll start going over some rankings and some projections and things like that. But I've been focused on the Wednesday nights here, but we're going to start rolling out some more videos and some more data studies for you guys. So again, thank you. Enjoy your Wednesday evening. We'll see you guys next time. Peace. Got me feeling icy.